Hello again, 6th graders. This is Miss McCaslin with another flipped video for science. Today's video is going to be a follow-up from the flower dissection that you did in class. You should have a fill-in-the-blank note sheet that you can use to follow along with this video. You should be recording all the information that you hear. Let's get started. We'll start by talking about flowering plants. Flowering plants have both male and female parts. You should have noticed these parts when doing your dissection. The female part is called the pistil, and the male part is called the stamen. The next several slides will go through more detail about both the male and female reproductive parts of the flowering plant. Let's start with the male reproductive parts. The male reproductive part is called the stamen. You can see some examples here of stamens that exist in flowers. There are several of them, well, many of them actually, coming off of here. You should have also seen these in your flowers when you dissected them. The anther is the structure that's located on top of the stamen. This is what carries the pollen. So all of that fun yellow stuff that's all over us this time of year comes from the anther, the male reproductive part. Men, always causing problems. Pollen, that wonderful yellow stuff that makes our eyes water, our nose itch, sneeze, itchiness, just all around great fun. Well, it actually has a purpose. It is the male sex cell that donates half of its DNA, of the DNA that we need to make a seed. It's that powdery substance, it's usually orange or yellow, and it gets carried by pollinators. What's a pollinator? Is that a superhero? No, it's bees. Bees are great pollinators. They get the pollen stuck to them, they buzz around from flower to flower, and they transfer the pollen so that plants are able to reproduce. We'll talk more about pollination in a little bit. Filament. This is the thread-like part that holds up the anther. Now on to the female reproductive parts. The pistil. This is the name for the female reproductive structure of a flowering plant. It's this tall part that sticks up right in the middle. And you will see that there are stamens all around, and that pistil comes right up through the middle. Again, hopefully you were able to see this during your flower dissections. The pistil also contains a stigma. This is the sticky surface that's at the top. It's what traps and holds the pollen. So when those bees are buzzing around with pollen on them and they land on a flower, the stigma is going to trap that pollen, and then the pollen will travel down through the pistil so that it can cause reproduction. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. The style. This is the tube-like structure that holds up the stigma. Again, the stigma is that sticky part at the top, and this tube right here is the style. So the pollen will get stuck on the stigma and then travel down through the style to the ovaries. This is the plant part at the bottom of the flower. Inside the ovary, there are ovules. So you can see here we have the style coming down to the ovaries down here. The ovaries are where we would have the plant, where we would get the fruit and the seeds that we eat. Ovules are the female sex cells that are inside the ovary. They donate the other half of the DNA that's necessary to form a seed. So half comes from the pollen, half comes from the ovule. They become seeds once they've been pollinated or fertilized by the pollen. Now, plants also need protection. If all these reproductive organs or parts are going to work properly, they have to be protected. So we have petals. Petals are the colorful flower parts that surround these reproductive structures. We also have the sepal. This is the green petal-like parts that are at the base of the flower. You can see those right here. They help protect the bud as it's developing. Now we have two different types of flowers we're going to talk about. The first one is called the perfect flower. And by perfect flower, I don't mean the most amazing flower that you ever brought in for your teacher to show her your appreciation or him, but I mean flowers that have both male and female parts. Those are what we refer to as perfect flowers. Some examples are roses, lilies, both of which I really enjoy, and pea plants. We also have imperfect flowers. This does not mean a flower that might have a rip in it or it might have gotten stomped on in the garden. It just means that it is a flower that has male or female parts. It does not contain both. Some examples would be cucumbers, pumpkins, and melons. Now let's go back to pollination. Again, pollination is when pollen is moving from the male parts to the female parts. It's the step right before fertilization happens in plants. Fertilization is when the male and the female gametes join to form an embryo. So, pollination is when the bee is carrying the pollen from plant to plant, or wind could do this, lots of other things could cause it as well, but bees are primary pollinators. And it goes stuck to the stigma and down through the style, down into the ovary, where it is then going to come in contact with the ovule and become a fertilized seed. Hopefully you were able to get all of your blanks filled in. If you were not, then you can always go back and rewatch any part of this video to make sure that your paper is complete. Hope you enjoyed learning about all the flower parts and reproductive plants.